Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly lecture videos. And this is the first video on Chapter 5, Discounted Cash Flow Evaluation. As usual, we have 4 learning objectives in this chapter. So we will first learn how to find out present value and future values of an investment with multiple cash flows. We will learn how to calculate loan payments and the interest rate on a loan, and how loans are amortized and interest rates are quoted. And as usual, I will be uploading one video explaining each of these learning objectives. So as this is the first video, in this video, I will be talking about the present and future value of investment with multiple cash flows. Thus far, in the previous chapter, we have restricted our attention to either the future value of a lump sum, present amount, or the present value of some single future cash flows. So in this section, or in this video, we will discuss the ways to value multiple cash flows. And let's start with future value first. So once again, in chapter 4, we have seen this future value formula of a single cash flow. Okay. Now, how does that work? Let's say that you deposit $100 today and it pays 8% in 1 year. It will grow as 100 into 1.08, right? However, if it is multiple cash flow and if it is organized in a way that 100 is deposited today in an account that pays 8%, in 1 year, you will deposit another 100. So the question could be how much you will have in your account in 2 years' time. Well, that's a relatively straightforward problem. You can see that at the end of first year, 100 will grow to 108, and you deposit another 100. So at the end of 1 year, it becomes 208 with the second year's deposit. And at the end of second year, it becomes 224.64. Okay, so this 208 grows at a rate of 8% in the second year. So at the end of year 2, it becomes 224.64. So you can see that these timelines illustrates the process of calculating the future value of these two $100 deposits. Okay. So these timelines are very useful in solving complicated problems too. So anytime you are having trouble with a present value or future value problem, drawing a timeline will help you solving the problem. So in the first part of the figure, you can see that the most important thing is the cash flows are shown when they actually occur. So the first cash flow occurs today, which is indicated by 0, right? Now we therefore put $100 at time 0. The second cash flow occurs 1 year from today. So you can see we write down it after 1. Okay. And in the second part, you can see that we calculate the future values. Okay. So when we calculated future value of the two $100 deposits, we simply calculated the balance as the beginning of each year and then rolled the amount forward to the next year, right? So you can see 100, it grows at a rate of 8%. So at the end of year 1, it becomes 108, and we deposit another 100. So it becomes 208. It grows at a rate of 8%. So at the end of year 2, it becomes 224. Okay. So we could do it in another way, a quicker way. The first deposit that is $100, is kept in the deposit for 2 years at a rate of 8%. So, it could be easily done as 100 into 1.08 power 2. Okay, so it would be 116.64, and second 100, it remains in the account for 1 year. So it's 1.08, so it would be 108, right? And if you sum them up, you will get the same future value. Okay. So based on this example, we understand that there are two ways to calculate future value for multiple cash flows. One is compound the accumulated balance forward 1 year at a time, or calculate the future value of each cash flow first and then add them up. Okay, both give the same answer, so you can do the calculation in either way. Okay, so this is another example. So you think you will be able to deposit $4,000 at the end of each of the next 3 years in a bank account, paying 8% interest. Okay, you currently have 7,000 in the account. How much will you have in 3 years and how much in 4 years? Okay, so you can see that you have 7,000 in the account. It will be in the account for the next 3 years. And then you deposit 4,000 at the end of each year. Okay, so how this money grows, look. So 7,000 grows at a rate of 8% for 3 years. You can see, so it's a future value formula, present value into 1 plus R power T. The first 4,000 is in the account for 2 years. Then the second, the 4,000 is for 1 year, and the third 4,000 is just deposited at the end of third year. So we find out the future values individually. You can see like this. Okay, future values, and we sum them up. So we get the future value is 21,803. Okay, so if it is 4 years, so 7,000 will be compounded for 4 years. First 4,000 for 3 years, second 4,000 for 2 years, and third 4,000 for 1 year. So this is how we calculate the present value, future value of multiple cash flows. Okay, a pretty similar example here. You deposit $100 in 1 year, $200 in 2 years, and $300 in 3 years. How much you will have in 3 years at 7% interest? Okay. So once again, you can see the future value 100 grows at a rate of 7% for 2 years, 200 for 1 year, and 300. And you can see we do not multiply the future value factor here because it's deposited at the end of the year. Okay, so if I draw a timeline, for example, if it is a timeline, so 0, 1, 2, 3. So 100 is deposited 1 year from now, 200 is deposited 2 years from now, and 300 is deposited 3 years from now. So it is in the account for 2 years. That's why we have 2 here. It is in the account for 1 year. That's why we have 1. We don't need to put 1. And the 300 is deposited at the end of third year. That's why we do not have any future value factor. It doesn't grow. Okay, so the future value is 628.49. Okay. So once we calculate the future value and we know how much we have invested, so we can find out how much interest we are getting. Okay, so we deposited actually 600, and the future value is 628.49, which means 28.49 is the interest amount. The next question is how much you will have in 5 years' time if you do not deposit any additional amount, which means that at the end of third year, your future value is 628. So 5 years, 5 years time means another 2 years, and as you do not deposit any additional amount, you just need to find out how this 625 will grow for additional 2 years. And you can see that at the end of 5 years, the future value will be 719.56. Okay, now we will see how we find out the present value of multiple cash flows. So we often need to determine the present value of a series of future cash flows. As with the future values that we have seen in the previous slides, there are two ways we can do it. Okay, we can either discount back one period at a time, or we can just calculate the present values individually and add them up. Okay, so this is the present value formula. You can see present value is future value divided by 1 plus r power t. So when we have multiple cash flow, we usually we will find out the present value of each of the cash flows and we will sum them up. So look at this example here. You are offered an investment that will pay $200 in 1 year, $400 in 2 years, $600 in 3 years, $800 in 4th year, and you earn 12% for similar investment. So what will be the value of this investment? Okay, today, that means how much most you should pay for this. So you can see that present value is calculated here. So this is the present value of the first payment, which is 200. This is present value of the second payment, which is 400. Then present value of the third one, which is 600, and present value of the eighth one. Okay, and you can see that the present value of the entire cash flow is just the sum of all these four present values, which is 1,432. So it means that if you are expected to receive these 200, 400, 600, and 800 in the next 4 years, the present value of this cash flow today is 1,432. So that is the maximum amount you should pay now to get these expected cash flows in future. So you will earn a return of 12%. Okay. So you can see that the present value of the first one, present value of the second one, present value of the third cash flow, and present value of the fourth one, and we sum them up. So we get that the cash present value of the cash flow is 1,432. Okay. Look at another example. You are offered an investment that will make 3 $5,000 payments. The first payment will occur 4 years from today. The second one occur in 5 years. The third will follow in 6 years. If you earn 11%, what is the most this investment is worth today? Okay, so essentially, you need to find out what is the value of this investment today. If you are expecting 5,000 in 4 years, which is the first payment, and the second one in 5 years, and the third one in 6 years. Okay, so look how we calculate present values. So this is the present value of the first payment, this is the present value of the second payment, and the present value of third payment. Okay, and you can see that the present value is 8,934. Okay, now let me show you the timeline once again. So this is a 6-year cash flow. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So don't forget that the first payment will occur 4 years from now. Okay, which means that it will be here 4 years from now, and the second one will be here, and the third one is here. Okay, so these will be the present value. So that's why you can see this is and the present value factor we have 4, and this occurs at the end of year 5. That's why we have 5 here, and this will be discounted for 6 years. That's why we have 6 year. Okay. Okay. So this is the end of our discussion in this video. So essentially in this video, we have learned how we find out the present value and future value of multiple cash flows. Okay. Thank you very much for watching this.